What's up, everyone? This is Luther Palmer, and welcome to One Episode Stand, a podcast where Jobina, Scott, and I help you figure out what new shows to watch.
Or maybe reconsider a show you've recently seen. For each and every podcast episode, we watch and discuss the series premiere of a brand new television show. Then, like the Rolling Stones we are, we move on to the next show.
We love them and leave them. We hit it and quit it. We smash and dash. Everyone is out there having one-night stands, and we have one episode stands. But we do it for you, the listeners.
Now, we're trying our best not to spoil anything for you, but we make no promises. Now, truth be told, this show, basically the whole story is in the preview.
Yeah,
but
right.
If you're concerned about spoilers, we'll do our best.
Jobina, how you doing?
Man, I had a whole layered series of weird dreams last night.
Oh.
So I'm a little off. I felt like I was in a vortex and I couldn't get out. And it was just a mess. It was a mess. So I'm happy to be awake.
I don't remember dreams very often. I mean, maybe once a year I'll wake up and be like, ooh, that was weird.
This one was pretty epic because it was so layered. I would wake up, I would realize okay, what you've just experienced is not real. And then I would just go back to sleep and get sucked back into it.
Re-traumatized. Do
Re-traumatized.
you believe in the foretelling of dreams and all that? And is it significant to my life? No, not into that.
No, I was at an event last night and I ate some chocolate cake. I think this was mostly about the ice cream and chocolate cake.
Okay, well, moving along. Today we are discussing The Patient.
Yeah, so this show is on Hulu. It is under 30 minutes. It's really short. Don't blink.
Yeah.
Don't blink
That
or
was
you will miss it.
Do you have the commercial version of Hulu or the paid version without commercials?
I'm not paying for it. No. I'm watching the commercials.
Because I think it's only 22 minutes if you take away the commercials.
Mm-hmm. It's very short.
And then I when I was watching it today, there was a commercial for The Patient while I was watching. I just feel like that algorithm isn't...
Something's off.
Right. So what did you know about the show before we picked it for this podcast?
I mean, I probably everyone in the country saw the preview 500 times, but you were the one who suggested this one. So right. I was excited to see what was up. Just from the preview alone, I was not going to go in, but because you picked it for this
the preview didn't
podcast,
sell you.
It did not. So I was going to skip
You're
it
not
until
a Steve Carell fan?
I love him,
but
getting on Hulu, doing that whole thing. I was like, if it just doesn't naturally pop up on my television when I turn it on, it's a little bit more challenging.
Well, the only thing I knew was that Steve Carell was in it, and I'm a fan of all things Steve Carell, so I was going to give it a shot. Now that you've watched the first episode, what would you say the show is about?
So this show is about a young man who is having a serious challenge. He has a compulsion. And his compulsion is not straightening the fringe on the rug. Unfortunately, his compulsion.
Wait. What? What did you say?
I feel like when OCD was first introduced into the vernacular, it was people who were straightening the fringe on the rug or lining up their shoes in a particular order.
What is straightening the fringe on the rug?
Oh my God. So Luther, a rug that has those little fringes on the end.
Oh, combing them
combing them and trying to make sure they're in the right order. All I'm saying is,
did you reveal a personal? Was this a personal compulsion?
No, I don't have fringe on my rugs.
I've never even thought about the fringe on a rug. That's why I was like, what are you talking about?
No, so what I'm really trying to say is that he does not have a garden variety compulsion. Instead, he is compelled to kill people and he wants help. That's the premise of the show. He wants help. Now, the way he goes about getting that help from Steve Carell, who is indeed our psychologist, in this series is a little bit off.
And I would say the show is also about Steve Carell's own mental health issues, right? Because some things happen in the first episode that let you know he's also struggling with some things. Okay, so let's talk about how the show looks, sounds, and feels.
Here's what I noticed. I feel like this happens a lot in shows where it's going to be scary or it's going to be dark. Like the colors are all muted, so browns and like it's just dark. And I mean, there's some scenes in Steve Carell's house where he's. Don't get me started on why he is counseling people in his house, but there are a few scenes.
Right.
I don't understand that at all. But there are a few scenes where his house is bright. Right. But every other scene, I feel like it's dark and foreboding as a way to kind of foreshadow what the show is going to be about.
So Steve Carell's rocking the beard. Are you a beard person? Do you get into the beards?
Okay, I'm going to say I have a limited appreciation for beards. I only like it a certain way. I like a man who can grow a full beard. I think for some people, it makes them look really sophisticated and handsome.
Right.
But when the beard starts to make too much distance from your face, if you are into, if it's progressing off your face such that you have to blow it dry and straighten it out, I am out. I'm out.
Do we know why they're doing the blow dryer? What are they achieving?
I have no idea. I think they're achieving greater length. So I think they're taking a beard that would otherwise be scruffy or curly or whatever and blowing it out to give it more length. But
are they actually using a blow dryer?
I think so. All I know is that beards that are on a man whose hair is otherwise curly that look straight to me are concerning.
Well, I'm just not. I'm not into the whole grooming thing. I barely look at myself. The only time I look at myself in the morning is to make sure I don't have any toothpaste on my mouth when I get done. Otherwise, I'm not standing in front of the mirror. I'm not looking at myself in the mirror. I just don't spend a lot of time grooming. So the beard is out just on that. But then to take the additional step to blow dry my beard, I'm out. I'm all the way out.
Yeah.
I'm out on that.
But Steve looked great in his beard. His beard close to the face, full. I thought he looked very handsome.
So let's talk about the actual storyline. He kidnapped Steve Carell because, and he explains, they had gone through several therapy sessions in Steve Carell's home/office. And he explains, like, it's not working well. I kidnapped you so that we can do this at this other location because I feel safer now to share.
Yeah, I can be myself. I can share.
Yeah, Steve Carell's like, no, that's not how this works.
This can never work. This isn't going to work.
And then, like I said, Steve Carell's dealing with his own trauma. So, like, he has this dream with this crying baby. Would you call it a baby?
It was a baby with no face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Like, he also wakes up and reaches for someone who isn't there. He goes by his son's job to give the son his mom's guitar. It's unclear what happened to the son's mom, which we assume is Steve Carell's wife.
But their relationship is clearly strained because the son is like, I don't even play anymore. Like, basically, why did you come over here and bring that?
Right. And there's also no mention that Steve Carell himself is going to therapy.
Yeah.
So there's some unresolved issues there.
But tell me this. What are your thoughts on therapy? Like, have you been to therapy? Have you found it effective? Have you found somebody you like?
I don't have a therapist, and a part of the reason I don't have one is because I just feel like the process of finding a therapist is going to be laborious.
They all suck. I have had like 4 or 5.
Right.
Every single one has been trash.
Really?
I'm like, who is trash? Every single one. I just find them to be trite. Like, they ask the same questions. They try to make meaning where I'm like, that is not it. It's just not it. I'm like, and then I'm like, you're never going to see me again.
What about teletherapy? Have you thought about that? Because during COVID, that became a whole thing.
Nah. So here's my concern about teletherapy. Then I'm thinking, like, everything I'm saying can be recorded. I mean, I'm like, it can be played back at any time.
Wait, they can record you in the office too.
I realize they can, but I just feel like it would be much harder to do it in the office because I can see what's around me. You could be recording.
You can't see a hidden recorder.
No, you can't, but I don't know. To me, being on Zoom where like the record function is just right there, ready to go. I'm not talking to you about my problems on Zoom.
Now, a part of what I wanted to do here is I wanted to destigmatize therapy, right? Let's talk about therapy. But then I'm thinking, like, do we need to destigmatize murder? Like, are you confessing? What are you confessing to your therapist?
I am not confessing anything to my therapist, but certainly everybody is saying things to their therapist that they would not want recorded.
So one of the other sort of breadcrumbs that they left was this Jewish connection. So when Steve Carell goes by his son's job, the son has on a yarmulke, and they don't talk about it, they don't mention it, but it's sort of noticeable. And then at some point, Gene says to Steve Carell, "Hey, man, like you're the best."
So bizarre.
I went to 2 other Jewish therapists before you, and it was just like, what?
What are y'all foreshadowing? I don't know, but clearly there's a Jewish connection that we need to keep our eyes open for throughout the series.
Yeah. Did you like the character? Did you like the acting?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I like Steve Carell. I think he's playing this part really well. I like Gene because I can't figure him out. Like
You like the murderer.
I like them. I did. I like the murderer. I liked him as a character because he's interesting. I know what his problem is.
The murderer
like they're very
is interesting.
See, now if I was on a therapy session and being recorded right now, this could be misconstrued. All I'm saying is that Gene is interesting. He's multi-layered. You get a little bit of who he is in this first episode, which is over so quickly that it definitely made me curious about who he is, how he got to be the way that he is. Why does he have this compulsion? And he said something interesting about himself. So he said, I'm not like someone who you would imagine has a compulsion to kill people. I feel normal. Like I don't feel crazy. So that to me made him even more interesting because he doesn't feel like I'm having this out-of-body experience, like blackout, I've murdered someone. No, I'm compelled to murder people, but I also feel normal. So that is intriguing.
And there were some moments where they tried to humanize Gene, the murderer.
Right.
Because he said at one point, like, I don't want to be doing this. Like he was coming to Steve Carell genuinely for help. Mm-hmm. And it put me in the mind of so many people who go to therapy who want help, who don't want to do the things they're doing. But because he's a murderer, then I kind of felt like, well, people are not going to connect with that, right? Because he's at the far extreme of sort of human behavior. You know, Steve Carell's therapy, he has this very like, tell me more about this.
Right.
And then what happened? And then they kind of just talk through it. And it happened with Gene. Well, he tried to do it with Gene. Gene says his father beat him all the time, right?
Right.
So then Steve says, what do you mean by all the time? And Gene says, yeah, all the time.
All the time. But I think he was trying to say like all the time is relative. Were you beaten every day? Were you beaten multiple times a day?
And
like
Gene,
what is all the time to you?
No more context. Were you beaten all the time as a child?
Not beaten all the time, my God. So I definitely had parents who believed that spanking was a part of disciplining children and making them better.
You were raised in a religious
people.
household, right?
I was raised in a religious household.
Don't spare the rod and spoil the child.
Yeah. Let me tell you, my mom was not the enforcer. My dad was mostly the enforcer. In fact, when my sister and I were little, my dad would sometimes tell my mom, you need to spank those girls. They did X, Y, or Z. So once my dad told her, you got to spank those girls. And she was just like, I don't think this is a spankable offense. So she takes us upstairs and she's like, okay, guys, look, Daddy's upset. He wants you to get a spanking. I'm going to spank the bed and you guys cry.
Jobina.
We had a whole performance. My mom is spanking the bed. We are crying, trying not to laugh. And
Are you
We got
serious?
away with it forever. Like, we never even told my dad.
I feel like that's a divorceable offense. Like, that is
She
what?
was like, this is just not that serious, ladies.
I was spanked. I mean, I wasn't spanked all the time, but it was certainly a go-to. And I think I can say this. I was spanked enough to know that spankings don't work.
Yeah.
Right? I was spanked, I would say routinely. Mm-hmm. I'll say that. And I never once said, hey, let's not do this because we might get spanked. It never crossed my mind. Like, I was never... We got spanked. I feel like we were 11, 12, 13 years old. Like, we were older. So my mom used to spank my brother and I. He's a year and a half older than me. And she would go down the hall, she'd spank him. And I could hear him yelling, screaming, crying, running around the room. And I'm just waiting, right? Like, I'm just waiting, right? So then she comes into my room and I'm running and jumping and screaming. So he comes down afterwards and he says, yeah, that didn't hurt, did it? And I was like, what? Like, I heard you screaming and hollering. He was like, yeah, I was faking. But then I paused and I was like, yeah, I guess it doesn't really hurt. I mean, we were just too big. Like, we were too big for her spankings to, and I think she realized it. And that was the last spanking we got. Like, I think she perceived that it wasn't hurting like it should. Right. So that was the last spanking we got.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? This show actually gave me Fight Club vibes. Did you ever see the movie Fight Club?
No.
Okay, so Fight Club, spoiler alert for Fight Club people who have not seen it, although it's been out 25 years. The movie is about two people who start a fight club and they like fight each other and they recruit people to be in this club, they fight each other, and one person is way more aggressive than the other. Mm-hmm. But then in the end, we learned that the aggressive person was just the more mild person's like alter personality. And it was just one person all along. So as I'm watching this episode, I'm thinking, is this young kid, is Gene at the alter ego for Steve Carell? And maybe Steve Carell is a compulsive killer. And he's like fabricated this other character. It just gave me that vibe. I don't know if that's what's going to happen.
I mean, that would be a good turn.
Seen past the first episode.
That would be a good twist.
But that was kind of like the vibe I was getting from this whole thing. So let's get into the educational. Like, what things were you thinking about when you were watching this show?
So I was thinking mostly about the fact that I know at the beginning of the episode I said, like, therapists are trash, but I don't.
Yes.
I don't think therapy is trash. I actually think if you have the patience to pursue it and find the right match, it's not trash. And it makes me think about like all the work that schools are doing right now to do social emotional learning at school. So like everybody's trying to figure out, what do we do with kids coming out of the pandemic? They have all of this trauma, all of these challenges, and how can schools be more responsive? So, you know, I was thinking about like, what school did Gene go to?
Did they have social emotional learning at Gene's school?
Like, did he have a school counselor? Could this have indeed been prevented by some good social emotional learning curriculum?
I appreciate how you clean that up, because you besmirched.
I did the whole industry, and I was wrong for that. I was wrong.
So on the scientific side, I got into this idea of his compulsion. Okay. Have you ever heard of this idea that choice is an illusion?
Say more.
So there's this concept of, if you come to a stop sign and you can go right or left, it's random. Like, you're on a Sunday afternoon, you're just randomly picking, and let's say you turn right. Well, there are some, in some halls of science, they believe that if we could reset everything and put you back at that stop sign, you will always turn right. You don't really have the choice, because, and they say, your mind is a physical machine. So just like if you were to throw a rock, like if you were to drop a rock, like the rock can't choose not to fall, right? If you drop a person, they can't choose not to fall. And if a person is at a stop sign, they can go left or right, they actually can't choose to go left, it's just an illusion.
Wow.
Because our minds are physical machines. And if it's a physical machine, then the laws of physics work and you don't really have a choice. And I thought about that because I said earlier in the show, I'm not compelled to kill anyone. I didn't choose not to be compelled, right? Like we don't choose our compulsions, but I think a lot of us think, but we choose our actions. And if our actions are coming out of our minds and there's things about our minds we don't choose, how much of our actions do we really choose?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you, as a person who is directionally challenged, every time I come to, like, if I'm not following a map, my brain will tell me to turn right. Every single time. And so I'm going to say I have done extensive field research on this theory. And you're right. You're right. Like, if I don't know where I'm going, my brain is always going to say,
I think that turn here, that's a compulsion, right? Yeah. Like, and who gave that to you? Like, where does that come from?
No idea.
And I think the scientists feel like it's a physical, like it's physics.
Yeah, maybe so.
Okay. So now here's the question that we want to ask you about this show. Are you going to keep watching it, or was it a one-night stand?
Well, it's not a one-night stand, but it is going to be a one-episode stand for me. I'm not having a one-night stand with anyone. However, I think it's going to be a one-episode stand for me because...
You're not going to continue.
Yeah, just the effort. I remember I talked to you about the effort of getting on
the effort to open up Hulu. The Hulu executives right now are beside themselves.
I can never remember my password. I'm just like, forget it. Somebody will tell me how it turned out.
They paid Steve Carell good money to create this show because they knew right there. I mean, whenever there's a new network or platform, there's this hurdle to it's like adoption hurdle.
Yes.
Adoption hurdle. Adoption doesn't seem right.
Well, I don't know.
Adaptation, adoption. I'll say adoption hurdle. So there's this hurdle. Anyway, whatever it's called, there's a hurdle. And I think they were banking on Steve Carell's star power helping to push people over that hurdle. You're saying you got over the hurdle and you're done.
And I'm done. What about you?
I'm going to watch another episode.
Okay.
Like, it's only 22 minutes, right? It's only 22 minutes.
Short.
I'm not giving my key to the person to move in, but I'll go on a second date with them. Okay. So that's where I am. So what else are you watching since you're not watching this?
Okay, I haven't finished it yet, but I started watching. I probably have about 20 minutes left. I started watching Mr. Harrigan's Phone, which is a movie on Netflix. So it's Donald Sutherland, who I like, and he is Mr. Harrigan. So he's like this old billionaire who hires a young kid who he hears read in church. The kid read the scripture in church, and he hires him to read to him because I think his vision is failing. So he hires him to read to him multiple times a week. And the phone is significant for a number of reasons, which I won't give away. But it's kind of like it's a mystery. It's a little bit of a thriller. I'm still trying to see where it's going, but so far I'm into it. So Mr. Harrigan's Phone.
How did you come up? Was it just suggested by Netflix?
Yeah, so this was suggested to me by Netflix. Again, Netflix knows things about me I don't know about myself.
Right. And I feel like you should give Hulu a chance. Give Hulu the opportunity to get to know you.
I'm going to try.
To learn your likes and dislikes. Well, that's it. Thank you all for listening to One Episode Stand. If you enjoyed this episode, you can subscribe to the podcast to be alerted when new episodes come out. If you're listening on iTunes, please give us a rating. The theme music is Freedom by Paradox Hip Hop, and we'll be back next time with another series premiere. Let's end on this. Jobina, every story has a moral. What was the moral of this episode?
Okay, we didn't get to this scene, but it's important that people know this scene in order to get my moral of the story. So we know that Steve Carell was kidnapped by Gene. The kidnapping takes place because Steve hears some kind of noises outside of his house. And he goes outside to check out the noises. And the next thing you know, he's been knocked out. So for me, the moral of the story is if you hear something knocking around outside of your home,
Wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
Are you victim blaming?
I'm not. I'm just saying, if you hear something knocking around outside of your house in the middle of the night, don't go outside to check it out. That is the moral of the story.
Was he dressed inappropriately too? Was he asking for it, Jobina?
He wasn't. Then he should have stayed in his house.
All right, Joe. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.